Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Here I am in my car again for episode 20 or 30 of my car chronicles. It's been about -30 here in Canada where I live, and today it's above zero, so it's above freezing, which is a nice treat. So we're just out in the car, and I wanted to talk today about radical acceptance because someone had mentioned this as a topic request, and so I thought it would be a great thing to speak on because I think it's relevant to most, if not everybody in this space. And I wanted to mention before I jump into the topic that thank you for your responses to my question about writing a book. I've thought about it for quite some time now, and I appreciate all your feedback. And also too, even though I'm not coaching, I've had a few requests from people who are thinking about becoming coaches themselves, and they have wanted some guidance and advice. And yeah, if that's something, I know that there's a lot of need in this community, and I've been seeing more and more people online on various social media platforms talking about offering coaching, which is great because I know it's really needed. And so yeah, if anybody is thinking of that themselves and they have some questions and want a little guidance on how to start, I'd be happy to chat. So you can just let me know, and I will put my email address in the description of this video. So on to the topic of radical acceptance. I think it's really good because here's what I see tends to happen. You have an adverse reaction or you go into withdrawal, whether you cold turkeyed or did a rapid taper. That's usually what happens when I was speaking with people, and that was my own experience. A lot of times you have no idea what's going on and you have no idea what to do. And so you frantically search online and you come across the forums, and then it all starts to make sense, but then you very quickly go down all the rabbit holes of the horror stories and wondering, what happened to this person and what happened to this person. And the truth is that it's a really complex situation for pretty much everybody, unless you're a lucky person who only took one drug, lucky in quotes, and you discovered proper tapering practices before you started. That is the ideal situation, but most people, like 99% of people, don't end up in that situation, and then they feel like they're in this mess that they can't get out of, whether they're off the drug or holding and trying to stabilize or reinstating or whatever the case may be. And as you know, probably all too well, there's so many rabbit holes to go down as well as far as recovering, because as complex as this situation is, the way out of it, although time is on your side, can be very different for different people. There are people who have had amazing experiences and responses to correcting vitamin and mineral deficiencies. There's other people who have done brain retraining. They've done all different kinds of alternative therapies, whether it's HBOT or neurofeedback, or it could be anything. I'm not here to list every option and possibility, but a lot of times you get into this situation where you're so desperate to try to figure out what exactly is going on in my body and how do I fix it. And just like in all my videos, I don't claim to know everything. I'm definitely not an expert. I don't think anybody really is in this space. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's people with an incredible amount of knowledge about what happens sort of after the fact and the journey of recovery. But as far as what exactly is going on in the body when these things happen and why they happen is still kind of a mystery. I don't fully, like, the whole receptor theory, it's really hard for me to think that that's the only thing going on. I definitely believe these drugs make changes in the body, absolutely. But to me, it doesn't make sense why some people can recover so quickly and other people are protracted more than 10 years. It seems inconsistent with most things in the body that heal or have a healing process, although there's a bit of a range. Usually it's not 6 months to 20 years. So I have a hard time. I personally think that every chronic condition, whether drug induced or not, is complex, and that's just my own personal opinion. And so that's why I think different things work for different people, and depending on what's going on in your individual body. But I believe that everybody can benefit from radical acceptance. And just like everything else that I talk about on this channel, I think I need to kind of pull that apart and what I mean by that, because sometimes when I say things like acceptance, or when I have that dialogue with people, they'll say, well, how am I supposed to accept that this happened to me? How am I supposed to come to terms with it? Am I supposed to just be fine with the fact that, my doctor ruined me, or pharma ruined me, or whatever, however they're feeling in that moment? And I made a video quite a long time ago about the 5 stages of grief. My daughter's snoring. Can you hear that? She's been sick, so poor thing, she's getting over the flu or cold or something, and I got a bit of it as well. But people will say, well, how am I supposed to accept that? And it's not about accepting and being okay with that. It isn't condoning behavior, because I think it is important to go through that, and I think it happens naturally through this process, because a lot of people will say, I've lost myself. I miss the old me. I miss my old brain. I miss my old life, whatever it might be. And there's a loss involved in that. And so a lot of people will go through the 5 stages of grief in a similar way as if someone has passed away. And so I'm not talking about pushing all your feelings aside and just being like, okay, well, I'm just supposed to be okay with this now. That's not what I mean at all. It's going through that process of grief, feeling your emotions. I think it's really, really important, because I've been studying suppressed emotions and how those can manifest in the body a lot lately, and it's definitely not a good thing to do, to suppress your emotions. So going through those stages and feeling the feelings. I mean, the anger stage is part of the grieving process, and it can be a long one for some people. And I think it's important to process that, feel that, and then it's not like you can force yourself through the stages. It is kind of a natural progression, but it's important to feel that and to express that. And it's trying not to get stuck there, though, because you can really get stuck in that and feel that way forever. You can go down every single rabbit hole and I've done this, and a lot of the people I've been close through in this process have done this, where you're desperately trying to do everything. You're trying to detox, you're trying to heal your gut, you're trying to neuro retrain, you're trying to, and you get into this desperate phase of, I gotta fix it, I gotta fix, my body's broken, I gotta fix it. And that can drive your stress so high and your despair so high that you just feel like, well, what's the use in all of this? I don't even know where to begin, kind of thing. There's a million people under the sun on the internet trying to sell you this program and this program. And I absolutely think that they can have merit and a place in healing, but you can get in a place too where you're just jumping from program to program to program, trying to fix yourself. And it can become like a trap in itself, and another layer of stress and anxiety that you already feel because of the symptoms of this. In my experience, most people who are long haulers in this process will get to some stage of acceptance. And I can often tell that when I'm talking to people, okay, they're in that phase. And some people will say, well, that's not good enough. I want to get better. I need to do something. And that's okay too. You can find a program that you think might help you or give you hope or keep you going, and that's good. But it can also become a trap and an obsession and a driver of fear. So radical acceptance, because I spoke in another video about, I can't remember exactly what I was addressing, but I said, what other option do we have? And I know there's another person well known in this community, I won't name names, who had made a video about this as well, and it was the radical acceptance part. You might be thinking, I've tried all the protocols, I've done everything I can, and people who have recovered often will say time is the greatest healer. I can't seem to find the right solution for me, so I'm just going to accept it. I'm going to feel the feelings. I'm going to go through the grieving process, and I'm going to accept that I don't know exactly what happened, and I'm going to go through, like I said, this process. Some people get angry when I say that, but it's one of those things too where, in my opinion, that's a healthier response than giving up completely, or getting trapped in that fear cycle of trying and getting so frustrated and so anxious and full of despair because nothing is working. That's not good either. And so I think if you can get to that good space, relatively good space where you're like, okay, I can kind of predict what's happening. I'm still in the windows and waves pattern. I'm starting to trust the process, and I'm trusting that one day this will end for me. A lot of people get to this place anyway. A lot of people I've talked to who have been in this space for a long, long time just kind of get to that place. They're like, there's nothing left for me on the forums. There's really nothing left for me to try. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. So I'm going to try to kind of carry my symptoms with me and live the best life I can while trusting the process that I will heal eventually. My body's going to get there. It wants to be homeostatic. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And again, I appreciate your feedback about my own decisions, because I feel like I want to give back to this community. It wasn't right for me, at least at the time, to do one-on-one coaching, and I've explored a lot of different things, making a course, writing a book. My book idea was a way to potentially give back. So let me know your thoughts about radical acceptance and what that means to you, and has it brought you a level of peace? Because sometimes it does. And just like in the grieving process, you can't change that a person has passed away. You can't bring them back to life. So how do you sort of move forward with your life after going through the stages? And it can bring you peace in that process, even if you're still symptomatic, even if you're still, as in the case of the death of someone you love, you still miss them. You still acknowledge how much they meant to you and were in your life, but you're like, okay, I have this sense of peace about what happened, and I'm trying to move forward. So let me know your thoughts on this. And sorry, I hope my poor daughter. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.